Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy, Nate Weitzer. On the East Coast, at least east of me in Chicago right now, we are talking about this Sunday, Christmas Day slate, Nate. 5 games to choose from. We've got 4 game videos up for you and our player props, so make sure to like and subscribe so you can check all those out. Also, head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content about all this stuff and our odds finder tool that you can use to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all of these bets you make across the NBA. Nate, let's go ahead and get into this 5-game slate for Sunday and then talk about this game. Lakers are in Dallas.
Yep, we got the Knicks hosting the Sixers to kick things off at noon Eastern time, and Philly right now -2.5 is favored on the road, 219 total. Then we got this game, Lakers are +7.5 with a 226 total at Dallas. Bucks are +4 at Boston, 223 total. Memphis -4 at Golden State, 227. And then the only game we're not going to break down is the Suns at Nuggets. Right now, Suns are +3 on the road with a 230 total. Look, with the Mavs, I mean, everybody should be able to handle business against the Lakers right now, who are just terrible without Anthony Davis. They had a little thing going. But now in 6 games without Anthony Davis, the defensive rating of 121.5, by far the worst in the league. And in their last 12 overall, they have a 118 defensive rating, some of those with AD. So LeBron's doing what he can. He's putting up numbers and still attacking him with player props, as we'll talk about on Friday here against Charlotte. But is that going to be enough against the Mavs team that's been very solid on defense? That's won 4 of their last 5 against the Lakers and 3 of their last 4 at home. Probably not. The thing is, with Dallas, they're just so live and die by the 3 that you know, I guess you shouldn't be scared away by a 7-point spread, because if they're falling, it's going to be over quick, and the Lakers aren't going to have much fight on the road. You look at their most recent game against Dallas when LBJ did not play, they gave up 82 in the first half, and then it wasn't particularly close. Other than that, the games have been going under because Dallas has been playing really, really slow, but the Lakers have been playing fast enough and hemorrhaging points enough to give you pause about that. I mean, what I look at here is the paint points advantage, being able to attack Dallas down low. They still don't have a great rim protector, and Lakers are second in paint points, second in free throw attempts. They're poor from the 3-point line, and that's what Dallas has been defending the best recently. And sort of on the other side of the coin, they're terrible in fast break points and paint points allowed, but Dallas doesn't really burn you with that either. They slow it down, spread you out, and hit 3. So I don't know. I kind of lean under, as you do when Dallas is at home. Seems to be the trend, despite the Lakers' ridiculous results lately. I mean, you can look at some of their recent road games just saying, like, man, that's a tough spot. Like at Phoenix, at Sacramento, finally back home. You'd expect a lot of teams to give up 120 points in that situation. And, of course, without Anthony Davis, they're going to. When you're starting guys like Schroeder alongside LeBron, there's just not much help on the defensive end. But I lean a little bit towards under and Lakers making this close, actually, despite their woes lately. I mean, we'll see what happens on Friday night. I expect them to beat Charlotte at home. And just come into a Christmas Day game. You know, I mean, you said to me they're going to start tanking soon, but I don't think they're going to tank on Christmas. Like LeBron, he tends to get up for these games. We'll see if he can drag his teammates with him. And lately, he kind of has been. He's been playing really well, and it's just been a tough spot for them on the road in some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, everything's a tough spot for the Lakers right now when you're just so bad on defense. And look, Russ Westbrook needs to play for us to even, like, for you to even not consider betting on Dallas, right? Like, if Russ doesn't play, like, why would you not bet? If Russ doesn't play, I'm taking Dallas, like, plus, like, 10, minus 10.5. I really don't care. The Lakers will fold, and specifically LeBron will fold as soon as the game is just done, right? And maybe he'll stay in get his stats. We've been talking about this all season since the beginning. This is a year for him to just make sure he's getting his. And so we'll continue to attack his props, like you said. We just don't necessarily have any faith in the rest of this team. I understand the hesitancy with Dallas, betting on them in general with that 3-point disparity. It's one of the biggest in the league when you look at the difference in wins versus losses. They shoot basically 40% from three in their wins. Shouldn't have to be that high, right? And they shoot 32.5% in their losses, which is like not even that bad in losses. There's teams shooting like 27% from three when they lose this season overall. And that's, because Dallas is always just going to be chucking threes, and they can still hit 32% of 40 attempts and get nothing in the paint. And that's why, right. And barely get to the free throw line outside of Luka and occasionally Christian Wood if he is attacking, as opposed to just posting up out by the 3-point line. The Lakers are the worst 3-point defense basically in the league, have been for a while. They're up there anyway. In their last 7 roadies, especially, they're allowing teams to shoot the 5th highest 3-point percentage, allowing them to make like the 7th most threes in a game as well. And there's going to be close to 40 attempts, if not 43s, shot by Dallas at home in this one. So it's just not a great matchup for them. And there's just nowhere on the floor without AD there that they have a distinct advantage as we continue to talk about with them. Nobody embodies the sort of fluctuation of Dallas like Tim Hardaway Jr., who has been hot in the month of December. So it seems like you got to ride Tim Hardaway until it turns to January, and then he'll probably start sucking again because he can't be good for 2 months in a row. It's just a rule, apparently. But he's in the midst of that hot streak, and that's a huge part of all this. So Dallas is 5-10-1 against the spread as the home favorite, but we've talked about this before. They basically have a +7 margin of victory at home, yet they've only covered 5 out of 11, or out of 16 games. Why would that be? It's just massive spreads. They're still +0.5 against the spread, even though they've only covered 5 out of 16 games. You see what I'm saying? So like these spreads are just massive. Luka has been doing his thing at home to an incredible degree as well. So I think the matchup is just not great for them. He's only had to play 35 minutes in his last 3 home games versus the Lakers over the last 2 seasons. And in those minutes, he's gotten 27 points, 11 boards, 10 assists. Right. So like he's still averaging a triple double in 35 minutes against this team with decent splits. It's fine. His usage rate is so high that the fact that he's only shooting 33% from 3 isn't that big of a deal. He's still making roughly like 3 out of like 8.5 threes. So I just don't see how this is anywhere. There's nothing that I see from the Lakers that makes me think that they have a shot in this one. If Russ does play, there's some wild differences in his numbers. They're actually way better on offense with him. 112 offensive rating versus 106. And then their defensive rating is 113 with him, 123 without him. Also kind of wild. So I do think it's important for him to play for me to even consider, looking at how to being a little bit timid about this game. But if Russ isn't on the floor and this stays at 7.5, then I'm definitely hitting it pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, the reason to not have faith in the Mavs is that they play down to the competition routinely, that they are what their record is 16-16. They do not have any sort of consistency. We saw that they just were non-competitive in Minnesota, then turn around and produce a great competitive effort there. On extended rest, they're 1-6-1 against the spread. After a win, they're 3-11 against the spread this season. So I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the Lakers, the Pistons, the Wizards. We've seen it from Dallas time and time again that they just don't bring it when you expect them to. Granted, most of that is on the road, and they do have some impressive home performances lately, holding the Cavs down, holding the Blazers, who had the top offensive rating at the time, to 110 in a win there. So, I mean, I do think that the defense should be good enough to slow down the Lakers, and the Lakers are depending on fast break opportunities right now. So if they can do that, then we probably do see a lower scoring game, making kind of the under the more preferred bet, because there's another scenario where if the Mavs aren't hitting from 3, then they're not going to be going over either. So I think, under is what I prefer more than trusting the Mavs to cover a large spread, because like you said, they haven't been doing that.
No, they haven't been doing it to that degree. You're right, in those large of spreads. But the Lake Show haven't been covering either, right? 3-11 against the spread as road dogs, failing to cover or losing those games by 10 points a game. And the over hitting when they are road dogs, 9 out of 14 times, actually going over by an average of about 10. I think if this turns into a shootout, it's just bad news for the Lakers. They don't have the 3-point shooting to keep up with the Mavs if they want to play in that style. And if they're going to get the ball out of the net after it's gone in and just try to still fast break, fine. But the Mavs are in the top 5 in terms of limiting opponent fast break points, opponent points off turnovers. Like, you ain't getting that on the Mavs. They get back on D, mostly because they're all just their guards are just watching Luka do things. And if they don't get the catch and shoot 3, then they're automatically just running back. They don't rebound. We know that. So they're just getting back on defense. But either way, I do feel good about the Mavs in this one, and I do think the game theory that I have is like a good amount of points being scored by the Mavs and the Lakers just pushing so fast that they inevitably score enough points to get over as well with the Mavs. So that's kind of how I see this one going, but we'll see. That is all the time we have for you in this one. So make sure to like and subscribe. Continue to follow along with us as we have 4 of these Christmas Day games and our player props for you. And until we see you next, happy betting.